you just my story on Contagious. The first minute I'll give you an outline, which is that I'm just going to give you my background into it and then frame the story that way, which is that I've always been attached to startups. I've always had this attraction, I guess, which I'm sure many of you in the room probably have. I currently, a religious watcher of Shark Tank. I'm all about it. Whether it's reading Mashable, whatever the resource is, I've always been into business. To start, I was in elementary school going to the dollar store and buying gum and selling it per stick to kids on the bus for a quarter when each pack cost me a quarter. So I was hustling from day one, we'll say. And I've always been interested in everything business. And that's my background, is I went from, if anyone knows DECA, it's a high school organization for business students, kind of just to role play and see what it's like to really be in business and being an entrepreneur. Started there. From there, I went to corporate America for 2 years. I pieced out of there. That was not for me. And I went from there. I've worked for startups ever since, which I worked for a TV company basically trying to start online TV network like Fox News. That was in San Diego. I worked for my two buddies in Philly who started the first self-serve frozen yogurt food truck. They basically saw the popularity of all these froyo places popping up and said, we're going to put it on the side of a food truck. They patented it. They were the first ones in the country, and they're actually in Philadelphia. They currently have a place in Wells Fargo Center, if you've ever been there. I used to help run that. And so, again, I've always been attached to startups. I'm all about that contagious energy that goes into a startup, which is that you really have to be all in as a business owner. If you're trying to sell a product, that's your life to a degree. And there is a lot of contagious elements of how you have to sell yourself. And I totally have gotten wrapped into that, and which brings me to my 2-minute story now, which is the company NetCito that I'm currently helping. I work from home, but I do a couple different projects, and NetCito's what takes up most of my time these days. And they are, in full disclosure as well, the elephant in the room is they are a sponsor technically of this event. But I totally got wrapped into the contagious element of NetCito, which is that I started very slowly doing some side work for them here and there, just in my free time. And I really gradually started to see, I guess, the power of the product, which is, like what you had said, that content is what's important. The content of what I was seeing was that basically people were coming into a group meeting, kind of like we have here, talking very openly about their business and being able to throw it out all on the table and be real people with each other, which is something that I think we don't encounter so often these days with social media and emailing. Everything has kind of gotten away from being emotional and sharing and being open human beings with each other. And that's what kind of sucked me in, is that I saw that people were really open. Everyone was really catered to helping each other. It was a very communal experience, which in the business world doesn't always come out like that. You're always competing. You're trying to beat your competitor out to get into the Philadelphia Inquirer, or it's a numbers game. You're trying to beat somebody out for sales, and this pulled it back a little bit on the competitive aspect, and really was a human group for people. And that's really how I got sucked into doing more and more and more work, and to the point where I'm basically full-time now. I'm committed, and I want to keep this as little of a sales pitch as humanly possible, which it is not. And it's just the idea that I am just completely behind this concept that was started hundreds of years ago by pre-Ben Franklin, we'll say, probably Aristotle and Plato, where you just sit in a group with your peers and you talk. And it's had a lot of different avenues throughout time. And this is what's currently, my project that got me completely wrapped into it. And I'm totally behind it, and that's why I came up here and wanted to give you my contagious story, which is that I was just lit with a fire of my entrepreneurial past. And then this business that I'm currently helping, sorry about that there, that surge. They came together basically to help, form what I'm currently doing, which is NetCito, which is a beautiful human experiment, if you will. If anybody has any questions, you can ask me afterwards. But I am passionate about it, which I think is something that you have to be as a business owner. And I'm sure you know that, Vanessa. You definitely seem passionate about your product. And I'm very interested as a user as well into yours. I'll finish by supporting another person in the room here. So thank you guys for working with me through my first story.